Set in 1872, on the icy waters of the North Atlantic, the steamship Skylark embarked on what should have been an uneventful journey from Southampton to New York. The vessel, celebrated for its advanced ironclad hull and innovative steam turbine engine, was widely considered one of the most reliable ships of its time. Its maiden voyage had been a triumph, and this second journey promised to further cement its reputation as a marvel of engineering. On board were 256 passengers, a diverse mix of wealthy industrialists seeking new opportunities, families emigrating in search of a better life, and adventurers yearning for the promise of the New World. Accompanying them was a crew of 78, led by the venerable Captain Edward Langley, a man whose 30 years at sea had earned him the respect of peers and subordinates alike. Langley's calm demeanor and methodical approach were thought to be the ultimate insurance against misfortune. From the outset, the voyage unfolded as planned. Passengers marveled at the luxury of the Skylark's accommodations, which included opulent lounges adorned with rich mahogany, glistening brass fixtures, and velvet-upholstered furniture. The dining room, where chefs served delicacies such as roasted pheasant and fine wines, was abuzz with laughter and camaraderie. Above deck, the ship's powerful twin turbines churned through the waves, their rhythmic thrum providing a sense of stability and progress. Yet, below the surface, unseen forces were already conspiring against this semblance of perfection. By the third evening, the Skylark had entered a dense fog bank, the kind that seasoned sailors knew could linger for days. Visibility was reduced to mere feet, and the ship's whistle sounded at regular intervals, a mournful note swallowed by the cold, damp air. Passengers, largely unaware of the potential hazards, continued their evening activities. Some gathered in the grand saloon for music and card games, while others retreated to their cabins to write letters or simply rest. Captain Langley, ever vigilant, increased the lookout on deck and reduced the ship's speed, a precaution he considered sufficient given the circumstances. Unbeknownst to those above, a troubling discovery had been made below deck. In the bowels of the ship, where heat and noise from the turbines created an oppressive atmosphere, engineer Thomas Drake noticed a peculiar rattling in the portside turbine. Upon closer inspection, he found that the turbine was overheating, its temperature climbing to dangerous levels. Drake, an experienced and meticulous man, immediately reported the issue to First Officer Marcus Harding. Harding, an ambitious young officer eager to prove his competence, dismissed the report as minor. "Keep an eye on it," he instructed, his tone betraying a desire to avoid alarming the captain or disrupting the voyage. Drake's concerns deepened as the evening wore on. The rattling grew louder, and the turbine's casing began to emit a faint, acrid smell of burning oil. He once again approached Harding, this time urging a reduction in speed to relieve pressure on the turbine. Harding, reluctant to jeopardize the ship's schedule or his burgeoning reputation, brushed aside the suggestion. "We'll make repairs in New York," he said with a forced confidence that did little to assuage Drake's unease. Above deck, the Skylark continued its steady course, blissfully unaware of the twin dangers looming, one from within and the other from the fog. At 11:45 p.m., the ship unknowingly crossed paths with the SS Imperium, a coal-laden vessel en route to Halifax. The dense fog rendered both ships effectively invisible to one another, and the rudimentary maritime radar systems of the era were no match for the challenge. The stage was set for disaster. Shortly after midnight, Harding's decision to maintain full speed unraveled catastrophically. With a deafening bang, the portside turbine failed, its overheated components shattering under immense pressure. The explosion injured 3 engineers, who were scalded by escaping steam, and left the Skylark operating on a single propeller. The ship's momentum faltered, and its one straight course veered erratically. Passengers, jolted awake by the noise and sudden lurch, began to gather nervously in the corridors, their initial curiosity giving way to apprehension. Drake, his face pale and streaked with soot, confronted Harding once more. "We need to inform the captain now," he insisted, his voice edged with urgency. Harding, realizing the gravity of the situation, relented. Captain Langley, upon being briefed, acted swiftly. He ordered the ship to slow to a crawl and directed the crew to fire distress rockets, their bright flares cutting through the oppressive darkness. Yet the fog remained impenetrable, and the Imperium, still unseen, continued its fateful approach. At 1:17 a.m., disaster struck. The Imperium emerged from the fog with terrifying suddenness, its iron bow colliding with the Skylark's midsection. The impact was cataclysmic. The Grand Saloon, once filled with music and laughter, crumpled like paper, plunging dozens into the freezing water below. Panic erupted as passengers scrambled for lifeboats, their screams echoing into the night. Captain Langley, steadfast amidst the chaos, directed evacuation efforts with a calm that belied the hopelessness of the situation. The crew worked tirelessly, but the Skylark's ironclad hull, now a gaping wound, sealed its fate. Within 30 minutes, the ship vanished beneath the waves, leaving only scattered wreckage and a handful of lifeboats bobbing in the icy expanse. In the aftermath, public outrage grew as the details of the tragedy came to light. An inquiry revealed Harding's negligence, the crew's flawed training, and engineering oversights that could have been addressed before departure. The incident prompted a wave of new maritime safety regulations, including mandatory dual-engine redundancy and stricter protocols for communication between engineers and commanding officers. The loss of the Skylark and its 256 passengers remains a haunting reminder of how ambition, hubris, and human error can converge to catastrophic effect.